Welcome to the Fishbowl Radio, everybody. My name is Chief here, and with me, as always, is Juicy. We're going to be going live here on Facebook, as we are. Welcome everybody into the Fishbowl Radio here. We're going to be talking about the New Orleans Saints draft tomorrow. They're having the NFL draft tomorrow at 7 o'clock Central Time on ESPN. The first round will be there. You get to see all the picks here. We're going to talk about the Saints' draft needs over the course of next season. We don't know when they're going to start playing or anything, but we hope that it will get underway pretty soon and that we can continue the season. Welcome to the show, Juicy.
Well, what's going on, Fishbowl? I'm excited to talk about the NFL draft.
Okay. So, Juicy, what are some of the positions you think the Saints need to focus in on in this draft?
Well, some people would argue and say they don't need a quarterback, but I think it could hurt. Not an early round, but they can maybe get a second or third rounder at least. Linebacker. And as we talked before the show started, like you said, Patrick Queen would be a good option. I'm not really sure about a receiver. I would think probably a tight end more than a receiver, though, because I don't believe, Jared Cook's supposed to be back, I think. I don't know if he's back with the Saints. I don't remember if he's back with the Saints or not. But it wouldn't hurt for a tight end. I was thinking maybe the loss of B.J. Williams, another safety. So for sure, a safety, linebacker, and tight end for sure. You said a wide receiver before the show.
Well, I mean, the Saints... The Saints, I mean, like, if you would add a Justin Jefferson, which they are projecting the Eagles to draft Justin Jefferson out of LSU. If there's some people casually that's watched the national championship game and didn't really pay attention to what was going on, if there was a video on Facebook that was kind of going viral for a while off of that juke that Justin Jefferson put on one of the Clemson defenders, which broke his ankles and he basically fell to the ground. That is Justin Jefferson. So I was making the point before the show, talking to Juicy, about the Saints drafting Justin Jefferson based on the fact that if they would draft Justin Jefferson, you would have Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, and Justin Jefferson. There is no way a defense could actually cover that up because it would be almost too impossible for anybody to actually cover three talented wide receivers. And Emmanuel Sanders is not on his back nine yet. He's about, 31, 32 years old? So, I mean, he's still in...
He's still pretty good in his prime.
Yeah.
And a rookie like Justin Jefferson, if they draft him, it'd make a pretty healthy receiver set. But also, part of that contribution, the only way that Justin Jefferson and Emmanuel Sanders would really thrive is they would be reaping the benefit from Michael Thomas being double covered, though, being that he's the number one receiver.
Well, I also seen that Patrick Queen was also on the board of the Saints here at linebacker. Demario Davis is entering his last year of his contract in 2020, and we know how important Demario Davis has been to the Saints over the course of his career, and last season especially, he really came on strong for the Saints defense. So I think it's going to be really good for the Saints to pick up another linebacker such as Patrick Queen, which I think would be the second need, but I don't think you should. I don't know if you would get him in the first round, maybe even the second round, maybe, depending how far down you want to go in terms of your list. But what you think is more of a pressing need, Juicy? Would you go for a wide receiver, or would you go for a linebacker if you're the Saints' needs right now?
Well, I would put priority on the linebacker, mainly because we know how the Saints, we know their defense can be very sketchy. We're still all used to their defense being very sketchy. I think they'd be okay if they didn't get a receiver because they got Michael Thomas, and then they got Emmanuel Sanders, and then they got Jared Cook as a tight end. They got Traquan Smith. They got a couple of other receivers who put up some pretty good games. Of course, part of that's Michael Thomas being double covered, like you said. And then honestly, and I was thinking too, it wouldn't hurt to get another running back to complement Alvin Kamara, especially since Kamara's entering his last year of his rookie contract. And some people say he should hold out and wait to get paid or wait to get a contract extension, and it makes it kind of tricky because they already gave extensions to Michael Thomas and I can't remember the other one, but honestly, I think a good running back wouldn't even be a bad pick either.
I mean, well, I mean, that's why the Saints have Alvin Kamara, and they have, I can't think of his name right now. I had it on my head earlier, and I can't think of his name. I'm kind of having a brain fart right now. Wait, what?
Dwayne Washington?
Not Dwayne Washington, the backup running back. He played, oh man, I can't think of his name right now. I had it on the tip of my tongue.
Latavius Murray?
There it is, Latavius Murray. He played pretty well in the absence of...
I think he's a free agent now, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you would have Murray, Kamara, Thomas, Sanders, and Jefferson, and even Cook, if you went that deep with six different options. We haven't even brought in the fact that Taysom Hill can actually run the football and pass it as well. And catch. He could do it all. He's the jack of all trades of a football player if I ever did see one.
Wouldn't be surprised if they start playing him at linebacker.
I mean, he looks like he's got a pretty good healthy set to where he would actually be a pretty good linebacker as well. I mean, he's blocked punts. He's done it all.
He actually played some linebacker in high school.
So, I mean, hey, he's definitely got experience in the position of doing that. So, it's interesting. It is an interesting concept that you could actually do something like that. So, let's see here. There's a lot of different ways that the Saints could go about doing this business here. They have a very good, talented receiving core like we talked about. And also during the offseason, they did add Malcolm Jenkins to safety. So I don't know if the safety position is really as big of a deal as it was before they got Malcolm Jenkins back from the Philadelphia Eagles, which the Eagles, the reason why I don't think the Saints are going to get Justin Jefferson in the first place is the fact that Carson Wentz threw 4,000 yards, okay? He threw 4,000 yards last season, but he didn't have a receiver over 500 yards at all. That is a staggering stat if you look at it from that point of view.
The only other one that did that was Tom Brady.
Yeah. Like, they had no dominant receiver. They didn't have a guy that was a clear number one, so they definitely need a young guy come in and actually do some work, which that Eagles offense would really appreciate having something like that on their team.
They don't have Jeffrey no more, I don't believe.
No, they kind of lost all their guys, which typically happens after you win a Super Bowl, which, I mean, if it is a very good thing for the Saints to do something like that. Okay, so, all right. Any concerns on the defensive line, Juicy, for the Saints? Could the Saints possibly?
I think they're pretty set on the defensive line with.
They have Rankins at defensive tackle, and they got Cameron Jordan at defensive end.
Cam Jordan, and Marcus Davenport.
Marcus
Davenport, a lot of people like, he's not really good. You hear some stuff about it, but actually, it's a stat that nobody really talked about. But Marcus Davenport led the league in quarterback hurries last year, which is near sacks, but not actually sacking the quarterback. But So that's a little note about Marcus Davenport in case anybody was curious.
Yeah.
And, David Onyemata, I think they re-signed him too.
Yeah, Marcus Davenport did put a lot of pressure on the quarterback last year, which hurried passes for the Saints defense on the defensive line. So, in terms of trying to go in the draft to get a defensive lineman for the Saints, I don't think that would be really a. I mean, if you want to add more depth to your defensive line, if you want to.
I think they could draft one in the mid round for like backup or extra depth or something, but it's not really a priority.
Not at the time. It's something they can go down the road. There's also been talk that the Saints might actually take a quarterback in this draft. Jordan Love out of Utah State has been turning some heads, and Sean Payton.
He's been turning some heads.
Yeah, he might be a good pickup. I mean, the Saints do need a third quarterback on their team. They got Drew Brees and Taysom Hill right now, but that third quarterback position is still up for grabs here.
They would sit behind Drew Brees for sure.
Well, I mean, Sean Payton has said in the past that Taysom Hill is his guy for the future. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how they do this. We're going to be in for a first of all, this is the unprecedented NFL draft in the fact that it's going to be completely virtual. It's had some bugs in it that's been documented, but I think they're going to be able to get all this stuff figured out. I really believe they will.
The Saints have been drafting well the past about 3 drafts or so. They've actually been drafting pretty well, which also helped build their team up too.
Yeah, I mean, it really has. That's why the Saints have gotten in the position they have. The only problem with the Saints, though, over the last couple of years is when they come down to playoffs, they seem to run out of gas. Like, the team gets too winded out and not able to play up to their full potential, I feel. Because if you just look at on paper...
They don't get that first...
Yeah.
Also hurts when they don't get the first round bye either.
Yeah, it kind of... So, I mean, they kind of get snake bit toward the end of the season, it seems like.
But this year's playoffs is going to be even harder to get first round bye because in case anybody didn't know, the NFL approved if the season's played that they're going to head and go with the new CBA playoff format, which is 14 teams
Yep,
now.
7 teams
from each conference.
So that 1 through 7 is going to be...
And only the number 1 seed will get a first round bye and home field advantage. 2 through 7 all will have to play, so it's going to be even that much harder now.
So we will see what's going to happen there with the Saints here. Thank y'all for everybody that listened to us on Facebook right now. We appreciate y'all. If we're going to look at the Saints some more here, it's going to be interesting to see who will take the place of like Drew. Well, I mean, they were looking at Jordan Love, so I don't know what they're going to do in the first round. I think I feel they're going to go for a linebacker because I think the Eagles are going to take Justin Jefferson, who was one of the players that the Saints was actually really looking.
Don't get me wrong, there's some other good receivers on the board too.
They got CD Lamb out of Oklahoma.
CD Lamb, there's Jerry Jeudy. There's a few good receivers out there.
I think Jerry Jeudy's going to be at top 10, though. Jerry Jeudy's going to be going off the board by the time the Saints even get a chance to even draft him. The Alabama product.
A linebacker would be...
That'd be...
And Patrick Queen's got the speed, and he's not too big, but he's got the speed to be able to... when you watch him play, he's got a lot of speed. He was the MVP. He was the defensive MVP of the national championship.
Yeah, he's a little bit undersized as a linebacker, but I think he makes up for it with his speed. He's able to run sideline to sideline and be a really good open field tackler, which, I mean, I was watching highlights of Patrick Queen in that Texas game whenever that Tiger defense stuffed them on that that goal line stand. So, I mean, hey.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he could definitely get the job done, for sure, for the Saints.
I had the luxury of watching him the whole season.
All right, we will see what happens.
Do you think that Taysom Hill is a quarterback for the future, or do you think that they should probably try to groom one like with Jordan Love or Justin Herbert or something?
So yeah, we just got done doing our live stream off of Facebook. Hope y'all like that little snippet there. We're gonna continue the rest of the second half of the podcast here off of Spreaker. So, Juicy, let's talk about. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting here. Offensive line is another position that they've been looking at on the board as well, from what I've heard. While the Saints are returning one of the NFL's best set of blockers, there's always room for improvement. Left guard Andrews Pete is back for at least the next 3 years, but the team should plan to account for him missing time while he's injured. Right guard Larry Warford is in a contract year. Left tackle Teron Armstead is also dealing with some injuries, prompting Pete to slide over to his spot. And right tackle Ryan Ramczyk will be a free agent in 2022. It's always wise to invest up in the front. So, according to the Saints, yeah. According to this is the Saints' top targets off of the Saints Chronicles. Wide receiver Justin Jefferson, linebacker Patrick Queen, Brandon Ayuk from Arizona State, Kenneth Murray from Oklahoma, and linebacker Jeff Gladney, TCU, AJ Terrell, Clemson. So they're both cornerbacks. But if you look at the cornerback position for the Saints, like if you got to get that 3 and 4 front needs to have some work done to it. Don't you agree, Juicy?
Oh, I definitely have to agree with that.
Like the top of the depth chart is locked in with Marshawn Lattimore and Janoris Jenkins. The Saints don't have much to rely on behind them. All of their backups are slot defenders or special team aces. Adding someone who could fill in out on the boundary should help Lattimore. Should Lattimore get injured or Jenkins trail off? I mean, Janoris Jenkins is 31 years old. It would do a lot to solidify that position group, especially in the longer view with Marshawn Lattimore's contract expiring after 2021. So that's something the Saints are going to look forward to whenever they get to that point.
Well, they could have got Marshawn Lattimore and Janoris Jenkins, sure.
So, but Lattimore is going to demand a lot of money.
Yeah, well, next year is his contract year, though, huh?
Yeah, after expiring after the 2021 season. So, the Saints are going to pile up a bunch of money to pay Marshawn Lattimore if they want to keep him. Because I think he's going to be gone because I don't think the Saints are going to match him. But then again, Drew Brees is going to probably be retiring after this season, which I think he will. I think this is his last hurrah. I don't think he's going to stay that full. Especially if they win the Super Bowl. That's the only reason he's coming back is to try to win.
There's no way he's going to come back.
Yeah. But let's say the Saints win the Super Bowl, Drew Brees retires. That might free up some cap space for them, which it should. I mean, Brees got
it. About $25 million in cap.
Yeah, it should free him up to be able to get Marshawn Lattimore. Michael Thomas is going to be another one that's going to command a lot of money. Sure, it's Alvin Kamara, but I think Michael Thomas is more an asset to the Saints than Alvin Kamara, because the shelf life of a running back in the NFL doesn't last as long as it would as a wide receiver, because they just get hit all the time. And the receivers are taking hits from like mostly cornerbacks and linebackers and safeties, and they're not dealing with the defense.
Running backs are easy to replace, but they come and go because you don't really need like a running back. What really makes the running back good is not so much the running back himself. He has to have. I mean, you can put a terrible running back behind a good offensive line, or what you think would be terrible, and they'll run all over any defense.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like a lot of these running backs that leave teams and they go to a new team and they don't have. Okay, perfect example. You remember Le'Veon Bell, Juicy?
Yeah, of course I remember Le'Veon
He
Bell.
he played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then he went to the Jets, and he was not.
He did good.
Wait, what?
He did good with the
Yeah.
went to the Jets, and yeah, we know how that turned out.
Yeah, he didn't really do as good of a job with the Jets as he did with the Steelers. So, I mean, receivers, they once you get a top flight one, they stay there for 5 or 6 years at least.
Receivers are not as easy to replace because you got to have that receiver that knows how to run those excellent routes and knows how to.
He's got to be where that ball is going to be at is exactly what has to happen. That's why running good routes is so important because the quarterback's throwing to a spot in the defense. And he's got to be at that spot.
The running back, I mean, the wide receiver's got to be there in that spot.
Yeah, if he's not in that spot, that ball is probably getting picked off. Whereas a quarterback's got to make good decisions. If the receiver's covered, obviously don't throw it to that spot because you're going to get picked off. But that. Yeah, they got their check downs and stuff. But don't tell that to Jameis Winston. He don't know what a check down is.
As compared to a running back, just mostly, the running back can run routes too out of the backfield. But I don't think it's as critical. You need him, like I said, you need him more to run the ball. I mean, between the offensive line and not.
I mean,
I guess almost any running back can with a good offensive line.
They got Edwards-Helaire as well from LSU in there. Raymond Calais from the Raging Cajuns, which I think he's fast. Raymond Calais is a very fast back. He might be someone in the later rounds, like a 6th or 7th round pick that could actually turn into something really well for the Saints or any team that picks him up. And they also have Robert Hunt for the Cajuns, who should have been playing for an SEC school because he was just dominant at the Sun Belt level. And he held his own against Mississippi State. He was pushing that line backwards. Every play I saw him, he was just destroying people. He was a man against boys out there. So we're going to see how he does in the NFL.
Hey, sometimes those little smaller schools, once you get to the NFL, where you play ball at really don't matter because at that point everybody's on the level.
Yeah.
Nobody really looks at
it comes down.
School you're at.
It comes down to like your technique more at the NFL level than your just raw physical ability. There are some guys that are just going to be better than everybody else, but for like the majority of the guys out there, they're going to have like it's going to be equal ground. Like they're going to be just as strong as the next guy going against them. It's going to come down to your footwork and your technique and how you brace yourself or like there's the different ways. Like I mean. A quarterback's got to set his feet right. A quarterback's got to be able to look and hit a receiver dead accurate while not even looking at him. Like moving their eyes. Their eyes can pull off the defender because it's almost impossible to stop a quarterback if he's dead accurate in the NFL and he's looking somewhere else. That's why Breeze and Brady have been so good for so many years, and Peyton Manning himself as well. Even though Peyton Manning's not playing anymore.
They know how to look off.
Wait, what?
They know how to look off.
Yeah. Yep. It's a very mental game as well, and a lot of players will tell you that too. Some guys can handle the mentalness. Some people will just crack under the pressure of having a mental game being played in front of them. So, Juicy, anything? Is there anything else you would like to talk about in the NFL draft for the Saints, or you think we're done over here?
I think we pretty much handled it. If any football fans haven't found out, Rob Gronkowski is coming out of retirement. Anybody hasn't heard it.
Yeah, Tom Brady joined the Buccaneers as well. I've even heard that Percy Harvin was wanting to come out of retirement to join the Buccaneers himself.
There's rumors about Percy Harvin. I've also heard rumors about Percy Harvin wanting to play for the Saints.
So I mean, it will. Yeah, that will be interesting to see. Percy Harvin was always a good wide receiver, but he could never completely get rid of migraines. So I have to wait and see what is done with that.
If
so.
he signed with the Saints, then they wouldn't really need it.
Yeah, they wouldn't. But I mean, we'll see what happens up to that point. All right. Thank y'all for tuning in to the Fishbowl Radio here on this lovely Wednesday night. I hope you have a great and wonderful weekend. this weekend as we continue to battle the coronavirus pandemic here. So hope everybody has a great and wonderful weekend, and y'all stay safe out there.